For more resources, visit rymonline.org.
The Local Youth Worker is a daily podcast that's centered on 5 questions each week. Ranging from the practical to the professional, we're looking for answers to the questions you're asking. Whether you're in full-time, part-time, or even volunteer youth ministry, this podcast is for you.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to The Local Youth Worker, a daily podcast presented by Reformed Youth Ministries. I'm your host, John Parrott. All this week, we'll be talking to Molly Dawkins. Molly, hello.
Hey, John.
Thanks for making time to come on the show this week.
Oh, yeah, no problem.
Molly is the Assistant Youth Director at Pear Orchard Presbyterian Church in Ridgeland, Mississippi. If any of you listened to the episode with Dr. John Kwasny, you know that's where he is employed, and that's also where I was employed before I came on staff with RYM. Molly, why don't you just tell us a little bit about yourself, where you're from, how long you've been at Pear Orchard, all that good stuff.
Yeah, I'm Molly Dawkins, soon to be Molly Barnes. I'm getting married in a few months.
Congrats again.
Thank you. Yes, actually, John is officiating our wedding, or at least helping with Brian Sorgenfry. And I grew up here in Jackson, Mississippi. I graduated from Ole Miss, and I've been at Pear Orchard for almost 4 years now.
Wow, that's hard to believe.
I know, it went by fast.
Yeah. All right. Well, yeah, and I guess a later episode we're going to have Brian Sorgenfry on there. So as you
Excellent.
gave him a shout out, he was the campus minister of Mississippi State University, and will be moving on to your alma mater, Ole Miss. Or he already is, right? He's already there?
Yeah, he's there.
Okay. All right. So we're going to get into the 5 basic questions this week. For those of you who have listened to the show, you know that we ask 5 basic questions of all youth workers. So Molly, you think you're ready for the first one?
I think I'm ready.
All right. All right, so first question for today. What's the best thing you've done in youth ministry? This could be an event that you've planned. This could be a Bible study that you've done, or some kind of idea that you think has been beneficial. What do you have for us?
The best thing that I have done is a Thursday morning prayer breakfast that I do with a group of girls. Started this maybe 2 years ago. And it started as 4 girls that would come pretty consistently. But then there are 2 girls in particular that would be there every week. And just seeing them every single week consistently like that, I've seen a lot of growth and just a lot of good that has come from investing that time in these students. I had one girl from my study on Thursday mornings that she ended up telling me about a certain sin that she was struggling with. And because of just the consistency of every week being with her and the trust that we had in our relationship, we were able to talk through that. And I was able to walk with her through it. And I think a lot of that had to do with the fact that I was seeing her once a week, and she got to where she trusted me. And we're still able to just have a lot of hard conversations if we need to, just because we do have a stronger relationship.
Yeah, that's really good. And you're saying a lot of things, and it's, I mean, there's so many things I want to hit on from just that reply. I mean, one thing is the importance of kind of small group settings. There are going to be large group settings in Sunday school or Wednesday nights, however various youth ministries structure that. But the importance of small groups, and I know sometimes it can even be just one person, one-on-ones. I know some churches are kind of shying away from that a little bit for various reasons, liability reasons. Some churches aren't allowed to do that anymore. But I think as you're saying, you know, I mean, it is necessary in many contexts. And as you talk about this one particular student who opened up to you, that's obviously not going to happen in a large group setting.
Right.
So where you can just have that time where it's a little more intimate but still in a public setting with a student, and they're able to confide in you. But then also just the consistency to doing it, week in and week out. And I can't remember if I said this specifically at the beginning, but Molly and I used to work together, and I was Molly's boss for a time. And so I know we've had these conversations, and we've had them with, the other youth staff that have been on with us. Sometimes it can just seem kind of monotonous, just doing it week after week. But after a while, the consistency of it and doing it week after week, the students just become more connected to you and more willing to open up and confide in you.
Absolutely. Yeah. There, some weeks you're the only one there. You might be the only person at Beagle Bagel and you start to question your whole life. But then there are other times where you do see that it does impact people.
Yeah. And like you said, you could be the only one that only one there. That's definitely happened. I know. I'm sure many who are listening to this podcast would be nodding their head of planning, a small group Bible study or some kind of event, and no one shows up, or it's not the turnout that you would hope for, and so that can be discouraging. But it's just interesting to be reminded the Lord is at work, and the Lord will use these efforts, and it's encouraging for you to give testimony to that.
Another girl from that group, I've seen a lot of growth in her as well. She is one of my older students, and there's just been a lot of growth in her. She has really been a leader this year. My group now is about 6 or 7 girls there are just 2 of them left after the end of last school year. But this student, she actually recruited all these other girls to come to our group on Thursday mornings. So now it's a big group, and she's also just been coming to our junior high fellowship to serve and to love on those girls as well. So I think that that time and the weekly discipleship of being with them and being in the Word and praying with them.
Talk to me a little bit more about the structure of it. You got into that a little bit and talking about some of the books. How do you pick a various book each semester? Just give us some logistics on that. That could be helpful for some others.
Right. Yeah. Actually, some of this comes from John Parrott instructing me on what to do. But
that was not a setup, by the way. I was not planning on it.
Well, what can you do? Yeah. So very kind of informal in the beginning. People are sleepy and sometimes they're late. So you're kind of waiting for people to get there. We meet at Beagle Bagel, where you can just get in line and grab your food and sit back down. And so there's people going to get their food. And while somebody's getting food, you can be talking to another student. And so for probably the first 30 minutes, it's just talking with them, seeing how school's going and just that kind of stuff. And then doing something like reading J.C. Ryle's A Call to Prayer together, where they don't have to come prepared for it. I don't necessarily have to prepare for it because we're doing it together. And that one was really good because I printed it all out for them. You could get it online for free, and I just printed it out, and we would just do a page or 2 each week. They could look at it, they could read it, they're not spacing out or anything like that because they have it in front of them. And then we would just spend a few minutes talking about it. What does that look like for our own lives? And then taking prayer requests and sending them off to school.
Yeah, it's definitely a beneficial time with students. I mean, it can seem like a whirlwind because, like you said, typically students are late. You've definitely got some that have the personality where they'll get there, they'll beat you there, but oftentimes, and defending them a little bit, students have insane schedules, and so they're up
That's
late
true.
and all that, and so it's hard for them to get out of the bed. But by the time they finally get there and show up, and by the time they order food, and it can just kind of, you're flying through it. But even just, the fact that they got up early in the morning, I mean, that's an encouraging thing, that they actually made the effort, and then they're hopefully hearing something, some biblical truth or something good just to reflect on for their day. So anyway, those have definitely been beneficial. Molly, is there anything else you want to add to that?
I think that's all I've got.
All right. Thanks again, Molly.
You're welcome.